WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American in Germany. Today I'm at the InterWhisky 2018 in Frankfurt, together with
Dr. Don Livermore from Windsor, Ontario.
Hey, this is a real privilege for me. I've talked about you quite a lot on my different videos, explained a lot of things you've done, and it's a privilege actually meeting you. A little bit of a history. Why did you have your doctorate or your PhD in wood management, if I'm correct, with whiskey?
My PhD was in brewing and distilling from Heriot-Watt University. One of the struggles we face in industry is determining the quality of a barrel. For Canadian whiskey producers, we do buy used barrels from many different, like bourbon and etc. But you don't know what you're getting. You don't know what you're getting. The best test today to look at barrels is just putting your nose in the barrel. Is it of good sound quality? And that's it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and that's the best way. So what I was trying to do when I was looking at my PhD was I was using infrared sensors, and I would scan the inside of a barrel, and I could tell you how much wood extracts would come into the barrel in 30 seconds.
Wow.
I can tell you what the whiskey's going to look like after 3 years of aging within 30 seconds. And it's a way of determining quality, and that's what I did my PhD on.
Okay. And is this technology actually used today, or do they still use the nosing method?
Nosing method is in the quite honestly, practicality of it. When you're doing a PhD, it's all theoretical, right? So exactly. I could do it on the countertop. I'd have to work with a fiber optics company to be able to bring that to life as an industrial scale. I'll leave that to somebody else.
Exactly.
Today I'm into the blending whiskey, to be honest with you. Yes.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the whiskey here. Canadian whiskey in Germany and Europe is not very well known. We have the Canadian Club and we have a few other things, but other than that, it's Scotch, maybe Irish, bourbon, then, oh yeah, maybe Canadian makes something as well. Why is that, do you think?
I quite honestly believe us as Canadians have did ourselves a disservice for 80 years.
Okay.
We've been too apologetic. If anybody knows Canadians, yes,
I'm
you
sorry.
do. Yeah,
yes,
you lived in America. No.
Whoops, I hit you. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we've been too apologetic. Like, when was the last time you met a master blender from a Canadian whiskey producer?
Absolutely not. You're right.
Yeah, we've not gone out and told our story very well, and it's one of the big issues we face as Canadians, and that's what part about being here today is telling our story as Canadian whiskey, kind of the good things that we do. Yeah. My belief is Canadian whiskey is the most innovative, creative, adaptable style of whiskey there is. We can do lots of different things. Well, really, all we have to do is be made of grain, fermented, aged, and distilled in Canada, aged in a wooden barrel of less than 700 liters for a minimum of 3 years and minimum 40% alcohol. That's it.
That's it. Exactly.
That's it. They don't tell me I have to use a mash bill like other whiskey categories. I can't,
no new oak or oak as in Scotland.
Absolutely. I can use oak, I can use wood, I can use whatever type of barrels. They don't tell me how to distill it either. A lot of the definitions of other whiskeys tell you how to distill it. I can use a pot still, column still. That makes Canadian whiskey diverse. Isn't that Canada?
Yeah, very, very good. Exactly, you're multinational, and that's something that diversity is a very, very high value in Canada as well, isn't it?
Absolutely, and whiskeys that represents our distillery, like Wiser's and Lot 40 and Pike Creek, Gooderham and Worts, those whiskeys are very different. And you can't tell they're from the same distillery, but at the same point, I mean, I can create a whiskey for you, for you, for you, and for you. And that's the fun part about blending in Canadian whiskey.
Okay, very good. Let's go through a couple of the brands here. This is actually one of my best values for money in Germany at the moment, the 10-year-old triple barrel here. Very, very nice. What was the inspiration behind this?
Canadians are jealous. It's only in the European market, quite honestly. I had people come up to me and say, why is that not in Canada? A 10-year-old...
I didn't know that. Okay.
A 10-year-old triple barrel whiskey. It was designed for the European market. It's designed to be versatile. It has 3 types of barrels in it. We use brand new virgin oak barrels, once use American bourbon barrels, and Canadian whiskey casks. And it just creates a complexity. You can sip it neat. You can have cocktails with it. That's what we wanted to bring to the European market.
Excellent. So it's actually under $20 over here, which is a steal, to be honest.
It is a steal, quite honestly. Yes.
All right. So Pike Creek, you're the area of your warehouse, I think.
Yeah. The Pike Creek is a creek that goes into the Great Lakes watershed. We have 16 warehouses that sit on that. We have 1.6 million barrels in our warehouse, which is incredible. You know what? I'm a Canadian.
Yeah.
It's the size of 132 hockey rinks.
And over here in Europe, you have to do football pitches. So I'm not.
I don't know the conversion to that.
No, that's very good.
But anyway, the Pike Creek is a 10-year-old whiskey. It's a traditional style Canadian whiskey. But what we've done after 10 years of aging is aged it in Caribbean rum casks.
Right. And before, it used to be in port, wasn't it?
It is in port casks.
What was the reason for that change? I asked, but no one could give me an answer so far.
Two reasons for that.
All right,
two reasons for that. The definition of port changed in 2014. The original Pike Creek brand, we're sourcing it out of the Napa region. You could call it port at that time.
European Union regulations.
Yeah, so it changed, and then you kind of ran into a situation, well, we can't source port barrels anymore, so we changed the brand. That's not to say we could come with a limited release with a port barrel at some point. I mean, a rare release, that sort of thing. So, I mean, that's the fun part about the Pike Creek branding is it's all about finishing in certain types of barrels, and that's fun. That's a lot of fun. I can say the least.
I do see your eyes light up a little bit with that one. It's like, this is what I love to do. Right?
Oh, absolutely, and absolutely, yeah.
Now, this is my baby. I've said before, I've recommended this to more people. This is the #1 whiskey that I say, if you haven't tried it, you need to try this. This is fabulous. It was actually released, that it was taken from the market, and then it was re-released, and since then it's been hopefully more or less from one victory to the other. Yeah. What's the secret of this beautiful, beautiful rye whiskey?
Lots of secrets to it. I don't know. I divulge it. Yeah, no, I'll divulge. Lot 40 was released in 1998 in Canada under the rare releases for us at that time, and people are just not ready for it.
Okay, maybe.
Rye whiskey in 1998, people were more getting into the single malt phase. We took the brand, took it off the market, and then there's just an underground. Where's Lot 40? Where's Lot 40?
A lot of Dusties were looked for and so on back then.
Yeah, it was. And then we wanted to bring it back in 2012 when rye whiskeys became far more popular. But I made a couple of changes to the original recipe to it. I mean, there was aged in bourbon barrels at that time, and they were putting some malts and stuff to it. So the first change I did with Lot 40 in the 2012 release was I moved it over to brand new virgin oak barrels. That's what I did my PhD in, right? So, I mean, instantaneously, this is a fantastic whiskey. In 2013, I actually pulled the malt out of it. Malt gives an interesting sulfury note to whiskeys that some people like, some people don't. Ever since that point, we started winning the awards with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Putting the unmalted rye into the recipe, and that just added a nice pepperiness to it. And as you know, the brand is just taking off and growing, and people like yourself certainly giving accolades to it, and others. I mean, in fact, but the point I think of the story is, we're always trying to make whiskey better.
Okay, all right.
You don't stand still. The moment you stand still on a brand, the moment, that's exactly, you're always trying to achieve better when you can, and that's my philosophy. There's a couple other instances where we're going to look at changes in Lot 40 come about 2022 that we're looking at unique varieties of rye, actually, that gives you a nice spicy, and you're going to see a little bit of a subtle change to it, but I think it's just even going to make the brand better.
All right. So this is actually then virgin oak.
Virgin oak.
And it's 10% unmalted and 90% malted rye, or what is the mash bill?
It's all unmalted rye.
It's all 100% unmalted. So you use the enzymes to get that kick-started?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, there was an interesting sulfury note that comes in with malt. When we pulled it out, that's when we started winning awards. Right. Quite honestly, we started winning awards at that point. So and that's what we're trying to look for. Is that I'll often say, people, you're looking for 4-ethyl glycol. I mean, that's what people are looking for. And if you look at my flavor wheel that I've developed for the Canadian whiskey industry, that really drives home the point of what we're looking for in whiskeys.
All right, very good. Now, what can we expect in the future? I mean, you have, 27 washbacks in the Windsor factory. 39. It's just enormous. It's unbelievable, the size. And so you're actually producing, I don't know, dozens and dozens of brands. What can we look forward here in Europe that actually will make its way over?
I'm hoping you can see some of the limited rare releases at some point. I know it's sticking to the North American market, like Cask Strength Lot 40 and Gooderham and Worts. We hope to bring over here at some point.
Very good. I just had the 17-year-old, I think. That was very interesting.
Yeah.
The Liberty, I think?
Yeah, Little Trinity. Little Trinity was called.
Exactly.
One of my absolutely favorite whiskeys. I think you're going to see, as the momentum of Canadian whiskey picks up here, I think you're going to start to see more and more expressions and rare releases coming into the marketplace. The first thing is to kick-start it with the mother brands here first, and the way the InterWhisky's going today, I only see nothing but good things in the German market. Absolutely.
Very good. WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American in Germany, together with
Dr. Don Livermore.
It was my pleasure. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye-bye.